And welcome to the Flux Motorsport GT1 Championship. As Lecky would say, it's that time again. 8 p.m. UK time on a Thursday. I am McToasty and I'll be alone in the commentary box today. So here we are in France at Rouen les Essarts. This is round 7 of 8 of the GT1 Championship. And as we can see, it's at least starting out as a dry track, which has been quite a rare sight in the GT1 Championship so far. Last week I called it the Adverse Weather Championship because 5 of the 8 races have been on a very wet track, so we'll get to see what these GT1 cars can do going flat out, not having to worry about any puddles at the moment. Falling around Destroyer now, you can see just how narrow this track is and how the curves are strange. It's kind of a run on roads that are they seem like public roads. And a little bit about the track. The track was run on partly public roads. It opened in 1950. And the original configuration was the same until 1954, 1955. This is actually the version in the game that the track is based off of, 1955 to 1970. The final configuration opening in 1974 actually has a chicane in between turns 2 and 3 here. We'll just get on board with someone who's approaching that section. Here we go. So between turns 2, which is right here, and there would be a chicane right in this bend. So that would have been not the current version, because actually this track doesn't exist anymore. It was demolished in 1999. So that's a funny thing that we can race here in Project Cars 2, and it is a great track. It's very difficult to get around, especially in cars like these, flat out around many of the corners. And of course we have that long back straight, and the third sector. You just find someone who is on that back straight. Here we go. So, coming through turn 10, I believe. Oh no, it wouldn't be turn 10, it would be turn 9 because the chicane doesn't exist. And here's that long straight here. So leading up to that penultimate corner, that is going to be a spot where these GT1 cars can really shine and hit that top speed. So, a look at the championship standings going into round 7. We did miss round 4, I believe, because of... no, we didn't. This is one of the championships that actually had all its races as scheduled, so that's great. Let's see what our standings are like. We have Linga, that's Little God. Let's see, there's Linga Bazinga. He's currently only 9/100ths off of the current pole time right now, with 14 minutes left to go. He is leading the championship standings with 191 points. 15 points back from him is Lil God, who has had at least one win this season in, I believe it was Brands Hatch. So he's been really got to grips with that Penaz, and oh, there it is. I'm not even gonna say the phrase because I know it's gonna happen again. There's Little God. Immortalis in 3rd place. 35 points behind Lega Bazinga, only 20 points between Little God, and that's the top three, very close in the standings. So depending on this race and the next race at Imola, we could see the standings come very close together here. Blank File is the driver in 4th place in the season. He enjoyed a win out in last race in Brno, had a very different strategy than everyone else in that race did and made it work. Then we have Murphy, who won't be racing today. He's actually the broadcaster of today's stream. And then we have Martin, who you might know as Jalmer in the community. He is in 6th place in the championship standings, 93 points behind Lega Bazinga. He's gonna have to make get some really good results in here for the last 2 races, and to possibly get up into that top 3 and enjoy a podium position for the championship. Then we have Dirk Diggler, who I don't think I see in the session yet. Oh, here he is, in that black Panaz. Lots of Panaz, many Panaz this season, and they seem to be one of the cars of choice this season with the tracks that we're running here. It's a very quick car when you can get it right and able to dial in that setup and really control the throttle out of the corners. And yeah, it seems to be a great car to use here. Jack de Menezes in his Toyota, hurtling down the back straight before the final corner. I think I saw 188 miles an hour. That's impressive. In his Toyota, he is in 8th place in the standings with 91 points, tied with Dirk Diggler and tied with Merlin, who I believe is Totenkopf here. And then we have Snarling Bongo in 10th place in the championship standings, 79 points. Destroyer in 11th place in the championship standings. Best Gamer, who I apologize, but I forget which driver that is, so sorry about that. TC Thrasher is not here, I believe. Then we have Roof Jumbo and Green Gaming taking the 14th and 15th spots in the championship. Just under 10 minutes to go here. Looks like Linga has taken that pole position away from the provisional pole and is currently about a quarter second faster than Destroyer, who has just set his fastest time of qualifying. See him here just coming down to the hairpin where that through that section where the chicane would be. Looks like he gets the car rotated nicely around there. Over 2/10 up in the first sector, so this could be a nice lap for him. Might want to get a onboard shot of the lap here. Find one of the drivers going for a hot lap and see. Oh, he gets very close to the hay bales there on the outside of turn 9, I believe. That's something you gotta watch out for on this track. There's hay bales on either side in some sections, and those can damage your car quite heavily. It's a lot like the inside fake concrete barriers in Sugo on the last corner. They kind of can fly around and cause a bit of havoc. So, this is one of 7 championships that we are running this season. It's round 7 of 8, the GT1 championship. Next week, the GT1s are going to Imola. Destroyer just finishes his lap there. He gets a faster time, but not quite fast enough to get to take pole position back. So that will be next week in the GT1s. On tomorrow, we have the GTEs going to Laguna Seca, and then Saturday at 3 p.m. or 4 p.m. Eastern or 8 p.m. UK time, we have the LMP2s going to Indianapolis Road Course. That night is the IndyCar Championship, Round 7, also going to Laguna Seca. That will be at 8 p.m. Eastern, or I believe midnight UK time during this strange 2-week time of times changing. And then Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern, or sorry, 4 p.m. Eastern or 8 p.m. UK time is the GT3 Championship, where they are heading to Dubai Autodrome National, so that'll be an interesting one. We've been to Dubai Autodrome GP, the first round of the championship. Now we're going back, and a different layout. And then the stock cars on Saturday night are heading to Indianapolis Oval. So we didn't get to see the Indy cars go around the Indy Oval circuit, but we will be able to see the stock cars go around that track. And that will also be at 8 p.m. Eastern on Sunday night or midnight in the UK. Let's try and find a driver who is starting a lap here. And go on board. About 5 minutes left in qualifying. Chalmers' windshield looks a little beat up there. He looks like he might have came into contact with the hills on either side of this track. The curves are very difficult to deal with. If you do touch one, the car becomes very unstable, especially in cars like these where the suspension is very low to the ground and doesn't have much movement in it, so you can't really make the suspension tall and soft enough to really cope with the curves. Looks like he gets a little sideways going into the hairpin. That is turn 3. Coming up through this section, let's see if he has a little lift here. Yep, he does. Through turn 4. Up to this tight left-hander. It's always tighter than you think it's going to be. And then this flat out right. This right should also be flat out. Turn 9. Almost is. And then the long, flat out, straightaway. This doesn't even really... GT1 car doesn't recognize it as a turn. It just kind of rockets off away to turn 12. Brakes hard on the brakes right there. Oh, looks like he braked a bit too late actually. Car got a little loose as he went to turn in, a little bit too much speed on corner entry. And that's an easy flat turn there. And that's one lap of Rouen les Essarts. 3/4 of a second up on his previous time, so that brings him up to 9th place out of 12 in our current running of cars. Just 3 minutes left in qualifying. We'll probably see a lot of the drivers throw on their race trim setup and get a handle on that for a couple of laps, just for a few minutes before the race starts. Not quite sure if the Flux Motorsport website is back online just yet, but if you would like to join and you're watching for first time, you can ask one of our, if the website isn't back up, which is FluxMotorsports.com. There is a Discord link there to join our Discord and to sign up for an evaluation drive, where you can then become a driver, get the driver role on Discord, and then sign up for championships, either as a reserve for this championship. Oh, you see Jelmer go around in the hairpin, or you can just be a community member and race with the community. They're not required to be part of any championship, and just hang out with the community and have a couple of races with us. These guys will be very happy that it's not raining here. It's a very difficult track to drive in the rain, even with all the downforce that these cars have. The surface of the track is very flat itself. We do have a bit of elevation changes, but the track surface from side to side doesn't seem to have a crest in the middle at all to have the water run off, so the water kind of just pools around in areas and makes it quite difficult for cars that are as low as the ground as these are. Looks like Linga Bazinga has come back to the pits, like he's satisfied with that run, and is looking to see if anyone else will set a faster time. It's a 1:44.0 to beat. The top 4 currently are in the pits. Merlin hasn't set a faster time, but he's come across the line one last time to get one last lap in. We'll stay on board with him. Oh, you just clipped the hay bales there on the outside of turn 9, and that's going to slow him down quite a bit if he doesn't have some suspension damage from that already. Yeah, 3/10 down on his best previous lap. He's not going to be happy with that result, but looks like he has some pace, so I would keep an eye on him for the race. these cars are going to be running much lower downforce than most of them have practiced for. I believe most of them have practiced for a wet race, or at least some of the race to be not this great of conditions. So a lot of the drivers might be experimenting with some lower downforce setups here. And that is the end of qualifying. So our results here: Linga Bazinga has taken the pole position with a 1:44.0. He will be starting alongside Destroyer with 0.4 seconds off that pace. And next row we have Starling Bongo in that Mercedes, orange Mercedes, and Lil God in the first Panaz in the grid. Second Panaz, Blank File, he was our winner last time out, so keep an eye on him, see what he can do in the start. And then we have Merlin in sixth, another Mercedes, and also the same kind of livery as Destroyer, so those red mirrors will be something to watch out for. Boof Jumbo gets a great result in his Panaz, going up to 7th place. Jack Demenza's in the first Toyota, and only Toyota, I believe, this race. 8th place for him. 9th, we have Jelmer or Martin in his Mercedes, or Mertalis. Would have expected him to start a little bit further up the grid, but we've seen him pull off some strategy calls and make them work, and pass a whole bunch of people as a result. Dirk Diggler, another Panaz in 11th, and Green Gaming, we do have the second Toyota here, so great to see. Alright, that will be our grid. Our race director can continue. And now we have the cars lined up on the grid here. It's gonna be a very close quarters start between these cars. They're gonna have to be really careful on the start here. Two Mercedes in the front. We've seen how well those cars can launch off the line with their traction assists. Meanwhile, the Panaz of, let's see, four? I think we have 4 Panaz on the grid here. They're going to, I would assume, struggle slightly, although it is dry conditions, so they will have a much easier time than 5 of our races this season, where we were on a very wet track. Down to turn 1, it is a right-hander, so Destroyer will get the inside line if he can get a good enough start, and then the next corner is a left, so we might see some very exciting side-by-side action here right off the start. For predictions, I think I'm looking at, I want to see what Immortalis can do here. I want to see if he can, play it. I know he isn't one to really, back off and play it safe, but I think if he does here, he can move up to the top 5 at least. Only 5 more seconds for them to get ready for their setups, and here we go. The lights are on. And lights out here at France. Linga Bazinga gets a great start. Destroyer not as much. He slots in behind Linga. Snarling behind Destroyer. And getting into a single file line right off the bat into that left corner, turn 2. Linga is racing down towards the hairpin. Let's see how brave they're going to be on the brakes here in the first lap. They're all playing it kind of safe. Oh, Linga goes a bit wide. Destroyer takes the lead. He sneaks up the inside, and he's going to be leading us through the latter part of the lap, probably. There's not many parts to pass here in this section. Snarling getting a little wide, touching the grass. You gotta be careful of that. And oh no, we have hay bales. We have hay bales on the track, and Destroyer is spun around. I think he clipped those hay bales on turn 9, and he's spun. Luckily, no one seemed to collect him while his car was sideways. We'll have to see after the race other drivers' point of view of that incident. Snarling Bongo making big gains here into first, ahead of Linga Bazinga. Lil God going wide off the track in the last corner. It's possible that he might have sustained some damage. And onto lap 2 now, Snarling Bongo in the lead. From 4th place, I believe. 4th or 5th place, he was towards the middle of the field and right up into 1st after lap 1. I think you're getting very close there in the hairpin. Let's look down the order here. Lil God remaining in 3rd, Blank File up to 4th. Jack Demenzes up to 5th place. Immortalis already in 6th place. Jumbo staying in 7th. Merlin in 8th. And we have another incident. I think that was Jack Demenzes just getting a little wide through that tight left-hand corner in the middle of the track. And just having to back off so he doesn't go off into the grass, and looked like Dirk Diggler had to check up and really back off there, so he had to avoid that collision. Jelmer and Green Gaming both in the pits already with damage, I would assume, and they're going to be losing quite a lot of time. Back up to the front we have Snarling Bongo still leading, although Linga Bazinga is right behind him, starting lap 3 now. Not even 5 minutes into the race, and quite a lot has gone on. Lil God is just dropping back slightly. Blank File keeping within 5 or 6 seconds of the leader. He might just be playing the long game here, being conservative up until a certain point in the race where he really starts to push. So again, about these setups these guys have on these cars, they're much less downforce than they would be running in the rain. With the rainy weather, you might want to have as much downforce on the car as you would as you could really, without changing the aero balance of the car, without making it more oversteery or more understeery. But I'm willing to bet that these guys have pretty low downforce right now just to get this speed on the end of the back straight here. Let's get the speedometer and map up so that you can have some more information for the viewers. Looks like Destroyer has just retired, so that is going to be one of our first retirements of the race. Yeah, disappointing for him. He was right up in the front, and just a tiny mistake, and yeah, that car looked like it had quite a lot of damage after hitting that hay bale. Looks like we have another battle here between Jack Demenzes and Merlin chasing down that Toyota. Looks like the Mercedes might be a bit quicker around these tight. Always seems to be, but we can see the speed difference. Not too much now, but once we get onto the back straight, we can check and see what kind of speed they're setting here on the straights. Jack getting a little bit wide through that tight left again. Here we go on full throttle. Through turn 10. Jack is reaching speeds of 195 down the straight. I think I only saw 180 miles an hour for Merlin. That's a huge speed difference between those two cars. Merlin might be running a bit more downforce here, so it might not be a completely fair comparison. But 15 miles an hour or so, that's a huge difference. And we can already see Jack DeMenzies has gone quite a ways up the road and is now behind Booth Jumbo. So Jack here is climbing up through the field. As long as he can keep it pointed in the right direction in the slow corners. Back up to the front. Snarling Mongo still in the lead. Linga right behind him. These two are good friends. They believe they still live together in the same apartment. They're flashing their lights here. Probably out of acknowledgement for racing each other yet again. And Merlin is being chased by Dirk Diggler here. So Merlin seems to be falling back just a little every lap. Dirk Diggler has been gaining a few tenths on him bit by bit. See what they can do through turn 1. It is flat out through turn 1. That is something I did not expect in a race setup with this much fuel in the car. Flat out through turn 1. Oh, and Dirk Diggler has spun it through turn 2. He might have touched one of those curbs. Immortalis just getting past him there. Oh, Immortalis must have had an incident of his own. He's down in 7th place at the moment. Snarling Bongo. Oh! Linga Bazinga has just gone sideways across the track there. Snarling taking back that lead. Linga was momentarily in front. And what is going on with the timing board here? Ah, that's Little God. Little God has just taken the lead. That's what's happened. So we have a Panaz in front once again. And oh no. More contact. More contact in the race, and Linga is back in the front. So they're swapping positions left and right here. Wow. I was quite a bit of shuffling around in a short amount of time. Linga back in the front. Snarling Mongo is gonna have to make that pass again to get back into the lead. Lil God had the lead for just a second, and then the car rotated through the last corner, that heavy braking zone. Pinot's not having ABS. I wonder if he might have locked those rear tires. Blankfile, our winner last time out in Brno, getting chased down by Immortalis. I did hear in practice and conversations in the pit lane that they might be a little tight on fuel in this race. I'm not sure if that was completely accurate information or if it was just to psych out some other drivers. But we haven't seen that. We haven't seen that yet in the GT1 championship, that they would be running tight on fuel, but certainly in the LMP2s. But Immortalis knows all about that, so he's quite experienced in that aspect. Snarling Bongo getting chased by Little God. He's fallen back a little bit from Linga. Oh, Little God just touching the back of Snarling Bongo's car there. Should be letting Snarling by. Nope, he doesn't. So that might possibly be something we see in the stewards' inquiries. Snarling just taking out a couple of those half-cut tires that are on the outside of turn 11. Boof Jumbo still being chased down by Merlin here. Under a second between them. I believe this is Boof Jumbo's highest running race position here. As he just gets through that hairpin that is turn 3. Looks like his lap time is pretty consistent based on his best lap. Sector 1 only 7 thousandths away from his current best lap. But I'd imagine lap times will fall as the cars get lighter. This is the closest battle on the track at the moment. But Boof Jumbo looks like he's pulling away slightly from Merlin. Let's see again, let's compare these top speeds here between the Panos and the Mercedes. Here we go, 176 miles per hour. And before I was going to switch on to Merlin, he's closed in so close that I couldn't even get a top speed read on him. He's gone late on the brakes as he dares straight up towards Boof Jumbo again. The car obviously much more stable on the brakes, giving him the confidence to really push into the braking zones. Flat out through turn 1 again. Yeah, we see these Mercedes very quick through Sector 1 and 2. Really difficult just getting the Panos launched out of corners, especially very low speed corners like turn 3. And Merlin is right on the back of him here into turn 5, I think that is 6. Turn 6, the tight left-hander. And we have, I think that was it is Jack Menzies. The front of his car has been removed by a barrier, and his car is very difficult to drive at the moment. He keeps on the grass as Jelmer gets by. I believe Martin is under blue flag conditions right now because Dirk Diggler is right behind him, and Dirk Diggler is at least a lap up. We can see Dirk Diggler is 31 seconds behind the leader, as Martin is at least 2 minutes behind the leader, so a couple laps down. Lingo Bazinga has just started lap 10, I believe. Yep, here he is, coming out of turn 3. A 3-second gap built to Lil God. Lil God must have gotten past Snarling Bongo at some point. He is on the charge towards the top spot here, trying to get another win in the GT1 championship this season in that silver Penaz. Boof Jumbo looks like he has 2 cars chasing him at the moment. One of them is a blank file in that very similar livery. Actually, I don't see a single difference between their two cars' paint there. Must be a some kind of a team contract where they're letting the backup car run on the same race. Interesting. Okay, so blank file. I'm moving up there to 4th position. And he's going to be looking to chase down 3rd place, who is currently 16 seconds ahead. That is going to be quite an accomplishment if Blank File can bring down that gap. Meanwhile, Boof still defending from Merlin here. Oh, I was about to say he was getting seemed to be easy on the brakes, but even though he was, the back of the car stepped out through turn 2 down to the hairpin and onto the grass, but he remains in 5th with Merlin still behind. Blankfile must have made a mistake of his own because Boof is right behind him again. We have Dirk Diggler just coming out of the pits there, and Chelmer in the pits again, so I believe that's his 2nd time in for repairs, as Jack Menzies flies by, and he will take 9th. These 3 cars on the straight here, looks like Merlin is going to go for the inside line. He's, a bit braver on the brakes, but I think he went a little too deep and went out wide into the outside line where Boof Jumbo was, and a little bit of contact there. On to lap 12 for these drivers. Under 25 minutes of the race to go, so almost reaching the halfway point here. And we have Snarling in the pits. I wonder if this is a scheduled pit stop. We are reaching that halfway point. I wonder if he is coming in for some tires, possibly. Immortalis getting very close to the back of Booth Jumbo. Bumpers practically touching through the hairpin. Booth Jumbo is defending for that top 5 spot. Oh, car gets a little loose coming out of turn 7, and they both go a little wide through turn 9. Hopefully no damage caused there to either of their cars. I think the hay bales have been cleared already from the outside of that corner as Immortalis goes on the outside of Booth Jumbo. Looks like he's going to try and make a move around, and he's already in front before the corner. So I wonder if Booth Jumbo does have some front aero damage on that car, as I think that's Lil God. No? Was it blank file? That was blank file. So he seems to have made a mistake of his own, and it looks like he's going into the pits here. So that could be damage, could be a scheduled pit stop, combination of both. I'll put some tires on and fix the damage, please, he says to the pit crew, possibly. Back in the front here, we have Linga Bazinga with a 1.3 second gap to Lil God. Lil God has caught up quite significantly through the last couple of laps. I think he's cut down that gap to half. That Mercedes looks like it's topping out at around 180. We have 182 for the Panos, 184 towards the end, right until up to the braking zone. Panos has a little bit of a top speed advantage here, but not by much. But that could be partly why we see just the 1 or 2 miles an hour down the straight, all the way down the straight. That could be why we see Lil God catching here through the... oh! That could also be why we have Linga Bazinga going into the pits here. Has he gone to the wrong pit stall? I think he might have gone to the wrong pit box there. There it is. Alright. So he's gone to the correct pit stop box here. And is getting that car serviced. Looks like a regular routine halfway distance pit stop for Linga Bazinga. Wasn't expecting for these cars to have to make a stop mid-race, but it could just be that the soft tires, if they've opted for that set of tires, are degrading quickly, more quickly than they expected. Of course, a lot of these drivers have been practicing for a wet race in case the chance of showers was an accurate forecast. Not much running in the dry weather for these drivers, I would guess, and yeah, we'll have to see. We'll have to see what drivers decide to stay out, what drivers might have opted for the hard compound of tire here. This could be an interesting race of strategy to the end. The guys with the soft tires will have that fresh tire advantage running to the end of the race. They will have that low fuel. Lil God also pitting here. So it looks like most of the drivers, if not all, will be planning to make a pit stop halfway through the race or slightly afterwards to get soft tires put on the car. Lil God has has come out in front of Linga Bazinga after that cycle of pit stops. It's about a 4-second gap between Lil God and Linga Bazinga here. Both of their cars seem to be floating at the moment, so they're driving some very, very upgraded futuristic line cars here. Immortalis is still stuck on the ground, up to 3rd place. I wonder if he is on a different strategy. I don't think I've seen his car go into the pits. He's up to 3rd. He might be able to keep that position, hold off Merlin, who has made a pit stop. Merlin is going to have a bit more grip with those fresh tires. We have Snarlin behind him. Blank File in 6th place. Dirk Diggler in 7th. Behind him is Jelmer on track. He's in 9th place currently. Boop Jumbo is in 8th. He's fallen down the grid quite a bit since the start of the race. I was really hoping he would be able to keep that 4th position and have a strong finish. As it looks like he's not having that great of luck in this race at the moment, having to maneuver that car out of the ditch, out of the side of the road. Jelmer here in 9th. Jack DeMenza's stopping again. I wonder if that's a scheduled pit stop. 4 tires. Little God on his best lap, as you can see so far. See how he takes that turn 6. That's very stable. Probably just not pushing it as hard as he can right now, just managing that gap to Linga. So he goes down the back straight. Looks like we have a couple of cars that are in close proximity here. We have Merlin, Snarling Bongo, and Blank File are all in the roughly the same section of track. Coming up to the back straight now. Let's see what these current results would, how they would make an impact on the championship standings. So, Little God currently in 1st. He is 2nd in the championship, only 15 points behind. Linga Bazinga is currently 2nd place in this race, 1st in the championship. This would bring their championship battle even closer. Immortalis in 3rd. That would be a great result for him, solidifying that 3rd place championship result. The level of competition in this series is quite high. 3rd place in the season is no easy feat. Little God looks like he's extended that gap. Either he had a couple laps of maximum attack, or Linga Bazinga had made a mistake while he was trying to push to catch Little God. Immortalis about 14 seconds back from second place, 12 seconds in front of fourth, and fourth place down to 6. We continue to have that, have a little bit of a battle brewing here. Blank File seems to have dropped off the pair of them. We have someone's, oh, I think that's Blank File's hood of his car was just lying on the pit straight there. Oh, it was Booth Jumbo. I cannot tell those two cars apart, I'm sorry. Booth Jumbo. Yeah, he's made it back to the pits after that initial damage. I think that initial damage led to some more damage, unfortunately. Looks like Martin is going to pass him here while his pit crew is fixing up that car. It is. So Jelmer up into 8th now. Merlin continuing to chase down Snarling Mongo. Also in a levitating vehicle. So very interesting. He gets into the slipstream behind that orange Mercedes. Both having very similar speeds. Up to that heavy braking zone. So it's all going to come down to who can go quickest through the corners here. A tight section of Sector 2, end of Sector 1. Not flat out through Turn 1. I wonder if that could be tire wear related, or if the drivers going flat out through Turn 1 just have a higher downforce setup. Snarling's car looking very stable into the hairpin. No hint of any wiggle going into Turn 3. It's probably the most difficult corner on this track as he goes wide through Turn 4. Yeah, Turn 3 of the hairpin, the entry is very difficult in a low downforce setup. The back of the car wants to overtake the front as you let off the throttle and turn, and having to brake well during that turn. That's a lot of demand on the aerodynamics and suspension, tire grip of a car, and sometimes it can't just do all of those at once. And yeah, we've seen that a couple times going into that hairpin. Blank File is caught up again to these two Mercedes, so we have 4th, 5th, and 6th within 1.5 seconds of each other, going onto the pit straight again to start lap 20 for them. Snarling is flat out around the first corner, so I'm willing to bet that Snarling has a higher downforce setup on that car, and that's why Merlin has a couple miles an hour on him on those straightaways. It doesn't look as quick through these tight sections, having to be much more careful into Turn 3. As we just talked about, lower downforce car, much more difficult to navigate through that section of the car wanting to let go. Snarling Bongo just keeping these two behind. Now onto the straight. Let's see how much closer these two close up on the straightaway. Will give us a good indication of what their setups are like. Merlin just taking an early inside line there, as he probably thought Blinkfile might have had enough straight line speed to get alongside him, but looked like he was able to drive back onto the racing line after out-dragging the Panaus, really. Which is interesting to see. We usually see the Mercedes not the greatest in a straight line. But he is flat out around turn 1 that time, so very interesting things going on here. This is still the closest battle on track. Half minutes in the race to go, coming to the closing minutes of the race. This would be a great result for Snarling Bongo. He is currently 10th in the championship. This would get him a good amount of points, and maybe up a couple places in the championship standings. I'll probably be looking to finish in the top 5 in the championship at this point. Blinkfile looks like he does have that straight line speed. He goes past Merlin on the inside of that corner there, the inside of turn 10, down the start-finish straight. It looks like that was his best lap as well, by a quite a margin, 0.8. So Blinkfile really pushing now at the end of this race. Oh, and pushing just a little too hard. He locked up into the hairpin, locked up into turn 3, and made contact with Snarling Bongo, sent him spinning around. Another incident that will most likely show up in the steward's office. So unfortunate there. Blinkfile looked like he was really making some nice overtakes there. Just pushed a little too hard into turn 3. So, Logod still up front, as a bit over a 4-second lead now, with 5 minutes to go. He's going to be continuing to just manage that gap behind to Linga Bazinga. And these two are quite far ahead of the rest of the pack. 27 seconds between Linga Bazinga and Immortalis. Merlin, who wasn't involved in that incident in the hairpin, is caught up to Immortalis, about 4 seconds difference between them, so we might have a race between third and fourth for a podium spot right at the end here. This blank file looks like he must have sustained some damage on the front of that car after that contact, and he's come into the pits to repair it. Jack DeMenz is losing the front of him again. He must have come into contact with a barrier or one of the hills around the track quite heavily to cause that damage. He's going to be in the pits for quite a bit longer. Blank file coming out in 6th place, so he won't be happy with this result. Looks like Dirk Diggler is right behind him at this point. So Dirk Diggler is going to look to get around blank file, take 6th place. Meanwhile, Lil God got a Linga Bazinga has gotten a little bit closer, about a second closer. Linga Bazinga going through that hairpin now. You can see him in the picture. Just over, just under 3 minutes to go, which should be 2 more laps after this one. Little God just lifting through turn 9, making sure that he doesn't run too wide, doesn't want to take that risk at this point. Now it looks like Immortalis has dropped back to Merlin. The Immortalis on that alternate strategy of possibly using his hard tires here. Right at the end of the race, looks like those tires have. Oh, it's that Jelmer. Martin is off the track. He's having quite a difficult time at this French track. Yeah, Immortalis still, Merlin, yeah, Merlin's still closing in. Let's drop the gap to less than a half a second. He's right on the back of Immortalis now. So let's see what they do here through turn 1. Can Immortalis still be flat out to defend? No, he lifts. So does Merlin, because he's in that dirty air. So it'll be interesting to see if Immortalis can defend for that 3rd place. Stay on the podium. Oh, Immortalis goes wide in the hairpin in turn 3. The car not stopping quickly enough for him. And there it is. Merlin gets past into 3rd place. And it looks like Immortalis is already under threat from Snarling Bongo. The tires on as oh yeah, Immortalis goes a bit wide. It looks like the tires on his car are just not holding up. Lil God crosses the line for P1. Linga Bazinga taking 2nd place as we see Merlin just going down the back straight here. Snarling Bongo gets past Immortalis. Immortalis dropping to 5th place. Merlin just coming around the final corner. A little bit of a lift just to make sure. Saw a hay bale or something fly through the air there, wasn't sure what that was. As Merlin comes across the line for third. Carlimbago in fourth, Immortalis in fifth. Blank file down to sixth place. I believe he was running in fourth at one point, but just during that cycle of pits, oh no. He has gone completely off in the penultimate corner of the race. So he will be driving that to the line as both as slowly and as quickly as he can, because there are 20 seconds left on the clock. I'll see if he gets across the line quickly enough. All other drivers have crossed the line after the leader and have finished. It looks like Blank File is just going to reach the finish line. Or does he? No, I don't think he does. Okay, so Lil God, another victory for him in the GT1s that will bring the championship points even closer together, as Linga Bazinga, the championship leader, comes in second place. Merlin in third, quite a ways back from second, but a podium nonetheless. He was able to get past Snarling and Immortalis right at the end there, who come fourth and fifth. Blank File is a sixth position for him. Win out last week at Brno, so he would have been looking for a better result here at Rouen Les Essarts. Dirk Diggler in seventh, Booth Jumbo in eighth place, Martin Orgelmer in ninth, Jack Menzies, the first Toyota, making it a top 10 for him, and those will be all of our finishers for the race. So, thank you for tuning in to our GT1 race here, round 7 of 8. Is it rounds? It is round 7. Yeah. Oh, next week will be our final race of the season, and I believe our top 2 championship contenders are within single digits now of points, so that will be quite a showdown. If you haven't subscribed to Flux, first time watching maybe, please do that, as we do have many more races every week, all broadcasted and commentated. I have been McToasty. Have a good night, and thanks for watching.